Good morning, and we are here again with What's Going On, and there's always something going on in Belmont. Today we have Dick Simmons from the Assessor's Office speaking on tax abatements and exemptions, perhaps particularly being sure to include for what applies to Belmont citizens. Okay, just first get us going on what does an assessor do? Obviously that.
Well, an assessor has many purposes and has many things that we do. The primary purpose that most people think of when they think of assessing is evaluation of real estate for allocating the tax levy. But we also administer exemptions and process exemptions. We administer and process abatements. We also look at process excise abatements and maintain records and ownership and develop a sense of new growth. When we're getting new development in town, that is the ability of the town to levy more in taxation when people improve their homes and when businesses improve their businesses. And that's a direct override to Proposition 2.5, which controls how we can tax. And so we want to be very diligent in collecting that information. So that we spend a good part of time doing that also.
So you have been an assessor in Belmont for 6.5 years?
6.5 years. 2005, July of 2005 was my first appointment.
But it wasn't the first time you'd been doing things like that.
No, I had been an assessor in North Reading for 10 years prior to that and was a real estate appraiser for since 1981 and was qualified as an expert in most of the courts in the state and the Commonwealth, and also appraised residential and commercial real estate.
In sizing up what it's worth.
In sizing up what it's worth.
And
yes.
do you still do that? Or?
No, I don't.
No.
Belmont is my main focus, and I want it to be my main focus.
And do you appraise Belmont property?
No.
Who gets that?
I assess Belmont properties, which is different. An appraisal is done for an individual or a bank, and is usually done for lending services or for disputes in legal matters. An assessment is for taxation purposes, and is a valuation that is used to allocate the tax levy equitably among all the taxpayers within the community. And my focus is assessing presently.
So is the assessment somewhat based on the valuation?
It is, but it's an old valuation. When you get your tax bill in December, which is usually when you get your first actual tax bill, that is based on an as-of-date of value a year prior to that, the January 1st prior to that. By statute, we have to value properties every year as of the January 1st prior to the beginning of the fiscal year. Fiscal year begins in July. And so, for instance, we're presently in fiscal year 2012, which began July 1st of 2011, and has a date of value as of January 1st, 2011. And we're required to do that by statute. So when you get your tax bill in December, the value is already a year old. And the perception is, many times, that in an increasing market, our values are always low, and in a declining market, our values are always high. In short, we're never right.
By the way, this is Janette Cranshaw, and I'm Dolores Vidal.
I was so eager.
By way of introduction.
I thought everybody in town knew us by now. I forgot.
So you assess yearly?
Yearly, annually, every year. I'm out collecting data on sales by direction of the board. I work for the Board of Assessors. I'm not an entity unto myself. The board directs me. We have an extremely qualified Board of Assessors. Robert Reardon is the chairman presently. Charlie Laverty is the vice chairman, and Martin Mullane is a member of the board, secretary, and they're all very active in the real estate market. They're all very well qualified people.
Now those three people are elected officials.
They're elected officials. Okay. They get elected every 3 years. Martin Mullane is up for re-election this year, as a matter of fact.
So there is a great deal of noise about the Community Preservation Act.
Yes.
Could you expand on that? And
Yes, the Community Preservation Act was established by a vote of town meeting and a subsequent vote by the electorate in 2010, late in 2010, and came into effect in fiscal year 2012. It is a surcharge that is added on to your tax bill, and is a set aside for a fund that is meant for preservation of the town, for historic preservation, purchases of commonly owned town land by the town, affordable housing, and recreation. Thank you very much. I was just about to forget that. But that is, the CPA is, again, was a local option and has been adopted. And also, the fund is supplemented to some extent by state funding. So it being a CPA community, we do raise through taxation, through the surcharge, a certain amount of money, and that amount is not matched by the state, but is supported by the state financially.
now, did Belmontonians elect to?
Yes, absolutely, they elected.
So this is our choice.
This is the town's choice, individually, yes, and collectively.
Okay, and so now that assessment is separate from the assessment that you do,
Right.
but is tied to it in some
It's
fashion.
tied to it. It's tied to the valuation of the property. Every residential property in town receives a residential exemption of $100,000 off their value. The
What? We get an exemption?
you
for-
get an automatic exemption on your real estate value for the CPA. It's $100,000. It's universal for all residential properties. It's not granted to commercial properties, and is only apportioned in mixed-use properties. But in residential properties, there's an automatic exemption of $100,000. The tax base on that is then recalculated using the rate, which this year is $13.35, and then that amended tax amount is multiplied by 1.5% to arrive at the CPA surcharge. I have in my notes someplace the surcharge amount on a $600,000 property would be about $100.13 annually. So it's fairly minimal.
That's nice to have a real figure
Yes.
because it's confusing.
It's confusing to me. It's confusing to the office. It's confusing to the taxpayer. We have tried to inform people about the surcharge. There was a sample bill that was sent out earlier this year, just to let people know how the surcharge works. There are exemptions that seniors can get, and also people who have moderate to low income receive.
What is considered a moderate to low income?
For a normal non-senior family, not that seniors aren't normal, but just for a typical, I should say, typical low income
Not that we
family.
would take anything like that personally.
No, I would too, because I'm a senior at 64, soon to be 65. The low income threshold for a one-member household is $54,050.
Imagine.
I know.
That's twice what I ever earned teaching school in a Catholic school.
Well,
Wow.
that's it's high, but it's not for Belmont. It's not extremely high. The low income for a two-person household would be $61,800. These are the minimums, or the maximums. I'm sorry, and then for a three-family household would be $69,500. It's a little bit higher for for people who are over 60, and the threshold for the senior exemption is 60. And that would be $67,550 for a single member family, $77,200 for a two-member family, and $86,850 for a three-member family.
Now, what does that mean?
It means that they are earning below that amount as a single family.
Yes.
Qualify.
And how does that help them?
They receive a total exemption, but they have to apply for it through the office. And we do have
Exemption from
exemption forms.
From income tax? I mean, for a real estate tax?
No, for the CPA, for the surcharge and the CPA.
This is it, right?
Yes.
Is this the form?
Yes. And we also have that form online. It's not green online or lime green online, but it is online.
Uh-huh. And this is due Monday, April 2nd
And Monday, April 2nd
at 4 p.m.
at 4 p.m., right?
And
After that, we have no jurisdiction to decide, or the board has no jurisdiction to decide on those.
so that goes to the Board of Assessors.
Yes, for their decision and their overview. It's reviewed by, some of them are reviewed by town council if there's a trust involved. And we also, but the board does have the final decision on all the exemptions in town.
I would think, without knowing anybody's income in detail at all other than mine, that quite a few people might qualify.
Yes, yes, they would.
And how does the town administration feel about that?
I think the town administration is fine with that. I can't speak for the Board of Selectmen or the Board of Assessors, but I think that the town is trying to raise funds for special projects that are allowed in the CPA. And these are admirable causes, and they want to raise what they can to support these causes. But there isn't necessarily an expectation of any certain amount per se. I think that this is something the town, obviously the town members wanted, and the town feels very strongly that's important.
What does CPA stand for?
The Community Preservation Act.
Oh, that, yes, okay.
CPA, not an accountant.
Yeah, I know, that's what kept coming back to my mind,
Yes.
but I've got that down, all right. And so all of this business about exemptions that you've just outlined only refers to the surcharge.
Surcharge for the CPA, for that $100.13 on a $600 house.
So could you make the distinction between an abatement and an exemption, please?
Surely. An abatement is a lowering in value, in the assessed value of a property for a reason. The knee-jerk response when we get tax bills in December is my value's too high. And if you can support the fact that we've overvalued your house by supplying us with comparable sales, or with tax comparables, or by finding some inaccuracy on the property record card, I highly recommend that people call up our office after they receive the first actual tax bill in December, ask for a copy of the property record card so they can look at it or peruse it online, and make sure that the data we have on the property record card is correct. If it's not correct, then they may be entitled to an abatement. And the valuation points we use in assessing properties are gross living area, number of bathrooms, number of half bathrooms, basement finish. Those are all important things to look at. Bedroom counts and room counts aren't important because they all come under gross living area. And because we don't necessarily get into every house in town, we want to make sure that we're valuing everybody appropriately. So we do it by gross living area, which is outside exterior measurements.
How does the town know when, if you're a helpful citizen, you're taking responsibility maybe almost every year to improve one thing? Like maybe you reshingled a roof, or another year maybe you put in certain kind of windows that are modern, or another time you added a shower in the bathtub areas. How does the town, does it immediately, when you invest in making something better for yourselves, then your taxes go up?
It is somewhat axiomatic that they do, but what generally happens is when you have work done on your house, either you or your contractor take out a permit to have that work done, to make sure that you comply with the codes of the state and the codes of the town. Once that occurs, that is sent down to my office, to our office, the assessor's office. It is recorded on the property record card, and in October, November, December, I will be coming to your door and knocking on the door saying, can I come in and see your work, what you were done, what's been done, and can I see at what stage of completion you're in, because if it's not complete, I don't want a tax on it. And so that occurs, and that's called what we call new growth. It's revenue to the town that's direct, and we do tax on it, and we do tax based on what the work that has been done and completed. as of January 1st of any given year. So any work you do on your house, let's say you did work last summer on your house, gets recorded as of January 1st of this year, and you see the bill on it in the December bill at the end of this year.
So there's a lag.
There's a lag, yes, yeah.
You've never come to visit our house.
You haven't invited me. Either that or you haven't taken out a permit.
Well, I just wonder, because usually, you know, every year or every other year we just tackle one thing. 'Cause, you know.
Well, sometimes if it's a new roof, it's considered a maintenance item.
Oh, these are all
Exactly.
maintenance things.
Well, maintenance is different, though. It doesn't change the value.
Right. If you updated your kitchen, that
That's
would be a change
right.
in value. If you added on to your house, that would be a change in value.
Right.
If you updated your bathroom, if you finished your basement, those are all reasons for me to knock on your door and ask you if I can see what you've done.
I mean, maintenance suggests exactly that. You're maintaining the
Right.
value of your home.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's say you changed your heating system. If you updated your heating system, that's not going to change the value. You always have to heat your house.
Right.
You're just updating it.
Yeah, like gas instead of
Right.
oil years ago.
Now, if I were to put solar panels on my roof, would that also be the same, or would that increase the value of my property?
That may increase the value of your house because that is an enhancement, and you are in a sense saving money, and you're saving. If it translates into value, into an increase in value, yes, it should relate to an increase in your assessed value, because what we're trying to do is mirror the market.
So the valuation is basically based on market value.
On market value.
Yeah.
That's exactly it,
Okay.
by definition.
Now, let's say people don't have the money to finance this, you know, to pay their taxes. So,
Lost their job, for example, or
are there tax work-off programs, or are there ways to help that the
There are any number of
people's
things.
responsibilities?
Yes, there are any number of things primarily focused on seniors, but also there are one or two exemptions that are focused on non-seniors. So let's go over the senior exemptions first, because I think because we're dealing with seniors on the program, that would be what people are most focused on. We offer 4 types of exemptions or deferrals for seniors. We offer the Clause 18 exemption, a clause which is a surviving spouse exemption. We offer a Clause 41 exemption, which is an elderly exemption, and we offer a Clause 41A tax deferral.
could you tell that again, like a surviving spouse?
Let me go over, I'll go over with some of the qualifications,
Okay.
because I think that would be important for people to know about.
Yes.
In Belmont, it's anybody who is a surviving spouse as of July 1st. In other words, who has lost a husband or wife as of July 1st. They must be over 70 years of age as of July 1st and have no more in assets, excluding their house, of $40,000.
Wow.
That's assets. It's not income, that's assets.
So your savings?
Your savings would be it's an exemption for $175. So it's not much.
Okay.
The other exemption is a lot more money, and that's anybody that's called the senior exemption, Clause 41. It's for anybody who's over 70, who earns less than $24,158 if you're single, and $36,237 if you're married, and has less than $40,000 in assets if you're single, and $55,000 in assets if you're married, excluding your primary residence.
So your savings that you're living
savings,
off, that's taxable.
That is.
I mean, you don't get
that would make you
your
non-qualified.
asset.
Right,
Yeah.
it could make you
Asset.
non-qualified,
Yeah.
you're right. If you have more than $40,000 in the savings bank, and that would include your car. Let's say your car is $10,000 and you had $30,000 in the savings bank. A lot of us wouldn't qualify for that as seniors, but also we're trying to hit the people who can't qualify, who are having a hard time, who are strapped, and this is an attempt to do that. Should these amounts are increased by a cost of living index every year, or changed. It can go up, can go down, but we do If you qualify for those exemptions, and a lot of people do in town, interestingly enough, they receive an exemption of $1,000, which is substantial and is at least helps people out. And that's a forgiveness. That's not a, well, when something happens to you, when you sell your house, you have to pay us back.
Right.
It's a forgiveness of taxation. Now, we do have a tax deferral program.
What are you being forgiven for? What did you do wrong?
You didn't do anything wrong, but we're forgiving you regardless. You can't afford to pay it, and therefore
forgive me, I'm sorry. Okay.
The other thing we offer is a tax deferral. And tax deferral is offered to anybody who's over 65 and earns less than $50,700 a year. They must have occupied their property, owned a property in Massachusetts for at least 5 years. And they can defer any portion of their taxes, partially or totally, for as long as they want, up until the amount accumulates to $50,000, of 50% of their value.
Now you
Of the
said,
value of the home.
The value of the home.
because you said earned, so that wouldn't be your savings.
No.
You says if the tax deferral, if you have earned under 50,000.
Right, if you've earned under $50,700, that you qualify for this, for the tax deferral. It's the amount that you earn.
That you earn.
Right, annually. Earn through a pension, earn through
Social
Social Security, your
Rent.
income. If you have income less than $50,700 a year.
But that doesn't count all your savings.
No, there's no asset limit on this.
That's you know.
Right, there's no asset limit
And you can defer it until when?
until whenever, until the house sells or you pass away. There is an interest rate on this. It's a simple interest rate, and the interest rate is 8% per year.
Huh.
But it's only on the outstanding balance. It's not compounding. And so it's fixed at 8% per year. Simple.
So does this help people who have lost their job then?
No,
With this
you have to be
recession?
over 65.
Yeah, you have to be older than 65.
Well, a lot of people over 65 have been working.
Have lost their jobs.
Have lost
you
their
mean.
jobs,
I see.
sure.
Uh-huh.
There is very little. There are some exemptions that will apply to people that are non-age specific. There is a blind exemption, what we call a 37A, and that is given to people who are legally blind and have received a certificate from the Department of the Blind. That is an exemption of $500 a year. And then there are
veteran, I suppose.
And there are veterans exemptions, clause 22 through 22E exemptions that are given for veterans who've lost the use of limbs, lost the use of, lost their eyesight, and they're around $1,000 exemption.
I know that it gets complicated. My brother is blind. He was one of those retrolental babies, you know, too much oxygen in the incubator, blinded.
Yeah, oh boy.
Yeah. So, you know, he needs a lot of help, and he's in a residential program and a work program and stuff like that. But I know there are certain exemptions. So that's good.
Now, the vehicle excise tax, what's that about?
The vehicle excise tax is a tax on your car. And I just want to make sure I get my notes correctly here. It is based on the manufacturer's suggested retail price of the car. It's not necessarily what you purchased the car for, it's what the manufacturer feels your car is worth.
So it goes down as it gets older and older and older.
It goes down. We have a depreciation schedule. Actually, you're technically assessed at 50%. If you buy your car before the manufacturer year, let's say you purchased your Chevy in 2011, you purchased your 2012 Chevy in 2011, the tax is based at 50% of the manufacturer's suggested retail price. When your car is, during your first full year of ownership, then it's valued at 90% of the manufacturer's suggested retail price. And then at the second year, it's at 40%. The third year is at 60%. The fourth year is at 75%. At 75% discount, I'm sorry, and the fifth year and on for the rest of your ownership is at 90% discount. And
Do you have anything to do with that? You don't have to worry about how we assess it or anything. I mean, it
is something that is generated by the Registry of Motor
yes,
Vehicles.
that's what, yeah, you get that, the info.
We get the file from the Registry of Motor Vehicles. They already have the values. It's at $25 per thousand is the rate. We get the commitment. We commit it to the Treasurer Collector's Office.
Oh, so it is sent from the from
Oh yes,
you.
yep. Everything
Okay.
flows from us to Treasurer Collectors.
Okay.
Floyd Carmen and I have a great relationship, as does the board and Floyd Carmen. He's an excellent Treasurer Collector. You couldn't have much better than him.
Did you say $20 per thousand?
$25 per thousand.
Really?
Is the rate? Yes.
Gee, I
So-
can get.
My car is practically free by now. I mean, I've had it 14, 15 years.
I've had mine 20.
Yeah.
I pay $40 or $45 or
It's
something.
minimal amount.
Yeah.
Yeah, after 5 years, it goes down to minimal. People want it to go down further, but it doesn't go down any more than 90% discount. But it stays there forever. As long as you're in the
Toyotas
car.
last very well.
So does my Subaru.
Yes, that's true. That's
City side, by the city
2
side.
ads, thank you. All right. We just have about 3 or 4 minutes
Oh,
left.
wow. Okay.
It flies.
That went by quickly.
You see?
It does, you
Yeah,
see?
it does, yeah.
So I would like you to choose what you thought was important to mention. Would that go down all right with you? That
And where can
sounds-
people get forms?
Yes, a couple of
Also.
things. One, we have exemptions for excise. Disabled veterans can get exemptions. I would call the office for information in that. And also people who are not veterans or disabled can get exemptions, but please call the office for that.
What office are you speaking of?
Board of Assessors.
Okay.
Area code 617-993-263.
Wait a minute, can't write that fast, and neither can our listeners.
on the screen.
Okay,
Oh,
it's on the screen. So,
Okay.
The other thing I want to tell people about is our website. If you go to www.belmont-ma.us, that's www.belmont-ma.us, that will bring you to the town's website. If you click on Town Departments and then click on Assessors, you'll see my name pop up. And then there below there are 2 bulletin boards. One is in yellow, and if you click on that, that will take you to exemption applications. And then there is a purple bulletin board below that, and if you click on that, that will take you to the CPA exemption. They're in PDF files, so you can fill them out online, and you can, but you cannot save them. You can fill them out online, print them out, and then send them in. You have to send them in. You can't submit them online. The other thing is that I forgot to mention on abatements. On tax abatements, if you want to file for a tax abatement for this year, you're too late, unfortunately. That period ended on February 1st. And ends on the due date of the first actual tax bill every year, at the beginning of February every year.
Well, that's good to know.
Yes, and I apologize for getting to mention that when we were talking about abatements.
Well, we seem to have used up every precious moment. We may have you back sometime. If
I'd love to come back.
There's more. You know,
yeah.
this is very good information.
Yes,
and you
excellent.
know, of course, it all. But when it goes by, that's why I sounded very slow-witted, saying, "Would you say that again?" Because I'm thinking of the audience as well as myself.
Sure, no,
that when it goes by fast, anything that has to do with figures and stuff, we want time to jot it down. So that's why I jot it. Then I figure somebody listening might be doing the same.
And I deal with this day to day. It's
Yeah.
my life, so I think about it.
Exactly.
And
Well-
I don't think that anybody does know about it.
And fortunately, our program not only airs more than once, but is also to be found online, so that if people missed anything, they can always see it online.
I can bore my girlfriend with this evening on my laptop. Not that this is boring, but
No, I love looking back on them. So,
Thank you very much once again. We've enjoyed very much having you, Dick Simmons.
thank you for having me. It's been a
And
pleasure.
I'm glad you've already accepted to return. So
Yes.
we'll hold you to that.
Please do.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And until next time.
What's Going On is glad to say also, we hope everybody has a happy Valentine's Day.